Greeting my fellows Toltecs around the planet to this new lecture. Not Talakpalolistli Inistlin Yolot in Xochilincuicatl. That means I salute you with my face and my heart, my totality, with resonance and beauty, the flower and the chant. So today I'm going to expose this very interesting topic that I have called La Divina Comedia. That means the Divine Comedy, because we are living in this big comedy around the planet, and now I'm going to explain you why. I would like to start with this phrase from this movie Joker that says, "With a lot of shit in this world, I thought that my life was a tragedy. But that's not true. This is a fucking comedy." And that's the truth. We are living in this big comedy. And now I'm going to tell you why. So La Divina Comedia, that's in Spanish, and also is derived from Latin, in Italian. Divine comes from Dios, Deus, that means God, and vine is wine. So we are talking about the wine of God. And comedy comes from the verb comer, manjar, mangiare. That means to eat. Practically, we are in the middle of this big feast, in this big diner room. And that means to eat or drink the wine of God inside of this feast of the Demiurge, inside of the Purgatory. And that's the main thing of this book called the Divine Comedy, when Dante Alighieri is telling us that we are living in this purgatory. But the purgatory is not a place that you are going to experience after death. No, we are experiencing right now here in this holographic realm. This is the purgatory in this Divine Comedy, because we are eating energy all the time, one from each other, unconsciously and sometimes consciously, because this is a human farm inside of this purgatory, living in this Divine Comedy. And this is the purgatory. This is torus field, the toroidal movement inside of the torment, with this Thor god. And Thor is a representation of the electricity. Zeus, Jesus, Jesus is the same thing, the same archetype. They are talking about electricity. And electricity is the tool that the Demiurge is using to create and express this holographic realm and control it, of course. We have been deceived by this false light illusion, and they have been made us believe that everything comes from light and we have to worship light and we are light beings, and bullshit, because that's the illusion. Is the electricity, is the dual sine wave that is reflecting some kind of electromagnetic spectrum that we can decodify with our eyes. It is a very small part of the original spectrum of frequencies that we are involved with, but this is the illusion inside of this purgatory. And the purgatory is referring to the torus field, the bull's eye. That's why this torus is representing with a bull. In Spanish we say toro. It's the same thing. In this torment, because we are in distortion. This kind of torus field is a compression field, because it's creating a torsion in our energy, compressing everything. So that's why we have to realize that this is the first message that they are telling us, what kind of prison and lifestyle we are feeding because we are ignorance inside of this purgatory. And also we have another archetype that represents the same, because now everything has this kind of shape, the shape of the torus field. And the apple is the main archetype that represents the torus field, because everything has this shape. That's why we're living in this big apple, in this holographic realm that is a software, a simulation that is creating apps. The apps, the Apple Macintosh, they're telling us the same. The Newton's apple, and the main myth is the apple from the Eden, that Adam and Eve ate from this apple. They're telling us that we are participating in this holographic realm. At the moment that we ate from this apple, we start to participate in this torment, in this purgatory, in this kind of frequency that we call density, this holographic realm made of electricity, creating vortices of torsion and compression, living now in the material world that is based in time and space. And time is the big trap, because it's the instrument of the Demiurge that it is using to keep us here prisoners in this big trap, consuming our energy, because time doesn't exist. It's just a perception and illusion that we are feeding this concept, giving a lot of importance, because now time is money. But time is just movement, and we are living here in this holographic realm, and the source of everything is sound, as we can tell here, cymatics. Every symbol around the planet comes from sound, vibration, and frequencies that we call fractals, and then it's going to spread by resonance, and that's going to provoke magnetism and electricity. And now we are living here inside of this prism, under this prism that we call the dome, that is causing a pressure inside of this, in order to keep those frequencies, those artificial frequencies inside of this battery that we call Earth. And Earth is an anagram of ear, and TH is the, and TH is the symbol of Kronos, Saturn, Satan. So it's the ear, because it's producing a fake frequency, a fake sound. So the Earth has become in this artificial sound or frequency, because the Demiurge, Metatron, is listening everything that is happening here, altering the original frequencies, turning in this artificial matrix and a sub-layer made of density and controlled by electricity. And these two forces, electromagnetic force, is the real forces, not gravity. Gravity means weight, but the real force is the magnetism and electricity that is anchor us to this density, especially electricity. Everything is ruled by artificial coils that are causing torus fields, toroidal energies, compression, creating a compression fields in order to extract energy with vortices, as we can tell here all the time, inside of this big pressure. That's what we call the atmospherical pressure. And if we want to get some kind of pressure, we need that enclosed system, closed environment. It's the only way that we can get pressure. And the pressure comes from this dome, this artificial prism that is reflecting the original spectrum of the real light and sound, and then is separating in 7 layers like this. They have turned our planet in this holographic realm, and the best example is a CD or a DVD, because they are reading us through these tracks in this field, and they causing separation. That's why we call 7, that means sept, septimo in Spanish, sept, September, that means 7, separation, in 7 layers and 7 frequencies that we call colors. And that is how this matrix is projected. And we have to know that light is just information, data, degraded. It's a laser that is reading our information, and each color is separate like the prism, and is read in different intervals of time that we call frequencies. So the intervals are 7, like the fake colors and sounds that we are perceiving today. That's why we have been separate in colors. That's why they call humans. Humans means hue, color, man comes from mente, mind, mente, in Latin, mentis, that is to lie, in order to become an artificial light. But we are indeed made of sound. That's the real source of everything, sound. That it has been altered, the real frequency, turning it into this that we can call noise. And there are some kind of colors that they are vibrating, and some kind of waves that they are creating this holographic reality that we are experimenting. And now we are in this cycle of separation, and derived from a mathematical pattern of vibration, the ratio that is keeping us prisoners in this film of DVD, of CD, inside of a loop, and that loop is a torus field. That's why the ratio is the ratio of Ra, and the Ra is time, is Chronos, Saturn, Satan, because the sun is marking the time. And they are giving on our ration of food in this comedy, in this diner room, in order to get fat the livestock, in order to eat us, our energy, and harvest our energy, that is our plasma. That's why that we can see here the implants that they inserted us inside of our original bodies. We can tell here that come from the original light, turn into the fake light, altered. We used to be infinite, now we are limited, and from original now is manipulated. And they introduced the 7 layers that we call chakras, or cuecuellos in Nahuatl. They are vortices of energy extraction, in order to read us, because they also insert in our DNA the phosphorus, Horus, another anagram Horus. And the phosphates are used in order to see colors. Actually, all our technology, especially screens, computers, TVs, and also the fireworks, they need these phosphates to reflect the colors. So that's the main thing of the chakras, because in this way they can read us like a DVD, because I told you, light is just data, it's carrying just information, transporting information, data. and they are reading us through the emotions. And this is another example, before and now. We used to be free with our expressing our energy freely without any pattern, and now they have turned everything in this mathematical pattern that we call sacred geometry. That is not sacred. That's a pattern of decay and death derived from the Metatron's cube, devouring energy. And now we are contained in this torus field, in this field of compression, inside of loops, repetitive loops, because we are living here inside of the torus field. As you can tell, is in the middle, it forms a hourglass that we call hyperboloid, and that's representing time. We are in the middle of the time, repeating loops in this mathematical sequence, and everything has this shape. It's following these vortices, and we are living in this time and space reality. But time is just a perception of movement, and everything is cyclical. The time is not linear, cyclical, because we can tell that all the movement of the astral realm is marking the time in cycles, in loops, is repeating the same cycle all the time. The big cycle, it has been measured in 26,000 years. All the zodiac is moving, and that's just time movement, but it doesn't exist such thing as time. And how we are telling the time passing? Because we are aging, because it's the decay of matter. And that's why Kronos is the titan that is devouring his children. Is the Wizard of Oz, because he's eating us, he's devouring us, time. Because the way we are living come in this big comedy, this Truman Show. And we are going to explain why we are aging. One of the real reasons. The first one is because we are eating. We are in this comedy. We are comiendo in Spanish. Comiendo energía, eating energy, and stealing our own fine energy. And then we are giving to these inorganic beings that we call archons, from the archangels, these entities that they are orchestrating this comedy, this play. They are the helpers of this demiurge that we call Metatron, Yabel, using this artificial intelligence that we call Iobat. Inside of this magnetic field, the magnetic is an anagram of magic net, the magic net that we are living here. Because the magnetic field is the strongest force that is anchored us to the density. So we have to realize that everything is caused for this purgatory that we call torus field. This is the sine wave, duality, positive, negative, black and white, red, blue, day and night. And every snake is representing a sine wave. And it is representing matter. Matter is the same word of matrix, density, dualism, the mind. Mind is to lie, mentira. Living in this government. Govern is called gubernare. Gubernare means to rule. Mind, government meant to rule our minds. Artificial mind. That's why we are participating in this purgatory, because we are eating from this loop, because we are inside of this loop and eating density all the time. We are living now just for the materialism. We don't have to confuse matter and materialism. We are matter, but we don't have to fall into this materialism, just to live in this illusion world of the desires. They have told us that we worth as much as we have more value, but that's not true. Our value is based in our spiritual path, in our journey. Spirit means inspiration, inhale, is to be inspired, and also connection. And also the serpent, in our culture, means wisdom, because it's the path of the feather snake, Quetzalcoatl, that is telling us that we have to change this frequency, turning into something better. We have to beautiful feathers to this snake in order to rise the frequency, change it, and start to ascend. That's the real meaning of Quetzalcoatl, evolution, and that's the purpose to be here in this matrix. Change the game, the frequency. Use just matter as a mean. Don't turn it into a necessity. We don't have to fall in the deception of materialism. That's the point of this. And then we can tell here that everything has turned into this torus field, in the phi, the ratio of phi. That is the mathematical pattern that is creating vortices of energy extraction. And this planet has become in motherboards that is only transporting data, information, and energy, of course. They are harvesting our energy, and they are using this mechanism. And now we are trapped here in this magic net, inside of this torus field. And that's the torus field is the psychotronic matrix layer. And also we have the dome, the physical dome. 2 layers of this fake matrix inside of this electrical realm that we are living now, that is ionizing in excess our bodies in order to keep us anchored to this reality. And they are make us to worship everything that referring to light, electricity. And they have been turned this realm from the crystal beings that we used to be into this carbon life. The 666 is the number of the carbon, now trapped in this Metatronic cube. And carbon is the foundation of the 3D, is the reality inside of the cube that is limited by uniforms and linear geometries. That's why we can find the hexagram, the cube, in almost everything, because they are expressing the huge hive that we are living inside. And the main hive that we are living is the hive mind that we call the collective consciousness, that is connected now to these patterns of geometry, but it's the geometry of the carbon life. And carbon is the most degraded energy of all. It's carbonizing everything. So from silicon and crystal, they are turning this realm into this carbonized realm. So that's why they are compressing the energy of our heart using these chakras. But as you can tell here, they are putting in this jail of Metatronic geometry the heart with the 6-point star that is representing the cube. And that's why we can find around the planet the worshipping of the cube. This archetype is representing the humanity inside of the cube, crucified in the cube, inside of the cube, inside of the materialism, in the material world, the density, following these patterns of death and decay, because they have turned us into these creatures, these batteries, in order to extract our energy, our plasma. We are their food. We are feeding these entities in this livestock life on this human farm. That's why they have created the existence with our chromosomes, and the X is the existence with the X chromosome, because the X is the chromosomes. That chromo means color, some is body in Greek. We are bodies of colors, as I told you before. So the X is another anagram because it's representing 10. X in the Roman numerology is 10. That's why we're living in this realm of Saturn. And then this word turned into Satan. And Satan is Satan. 10, binary code. 1 0 1 0. When we sum both numbers, we're gonna get 1. And 1 is uno, ano, Hano, Jano, January, Anu, Anunnaki, the same entity with different names. But they are referring to the electricity, the binary code that we are living in this duality, in this realm of dualism, because we are living in this system of electricity, in this Sol Om moon, and Om living in this Omega. Sol is sun, Sol O moon, the sun and the moon, the other artificial coils that they are marking the time and the cycles of decay in this planet that we call seasons. Om is Omega, and Omega is the big moon, the egg, the pod, because now they're representing the jacks in this system of death. They are making us to vote, and vote is a volts in electricity, voltages. That's why we are telling us all the time, send me a WhatsApp. And WhatsApp is watts, electricity in this apple, this torus field, living in this extension, the extension, living in tension all the time, producing tension because electricity needs tension in this existence of life, binary code. And the moon is one of the controllers of this system. Is the one that is absorbing our energy. So that's why they have been created the police. Police is the pole ice, or pole is polarities, duality, and they are frozen in ice, the polarity. And that's why the moon is turning us into monsters. The moon is creating monsters. They are in the menstrual cycle of the women, losing their blood plasma, living from the menstrual comes from mens, that mens is mind, practicing ceremonies. Ser in Sumerian means moon. We are living by the influence of the moon, and they are forcing us to marry in order to create more food for this comedy, for this dining room. That's why we are celebrating ceremonies. The ceremony, we are giving our energy to the moon. And also when you get married, you have to put the rings, and the rings are representing Saturn, the Lord of the Rings, in order to create another being that we call fetus. And fetus is feed us, fetus. In Latin is fetos. Fetus is the same, feed us. They are telling us the message that give us more food, more slaves, more carbon copies, in order to trap more souls, living in this monetary system. Moneta is money, moneda in Spanish, the currency. The currency is the sea of the current. The current is referring to electricity in the sea. We are living by the rules of the sea because they have turned us into merchandise, living in this fake system of energy extraction. That's why we can find these beings, the vampires. Vampires are referring to vamps, the amps, the measure of the electricity, amps. And they are vampires. They are extracting our blood. They are sucking our blood, and our blood is our plasma, our energy. And also they are turning us into these vampires also, because we are stealing energy each other in a consciousness way most of the time. But we are participating also in this feast of blood and energy. And we can find the cult of the cube around the planet. In the main religions, they worship in the same Demiurge, Saturn, Satan, the electricity, the time, Chronos, because we are living in this realm of chromosomes, the chronology, and God is just a frequency. This God that we are worshipping, the Demiurge, is just a frequency with using this artificial intelligence. As you can tell here, inside of the cube we can find also the cross, the existence. They are changing the frequencies all the time, and this is the noise that is telling us how to live in this holographic realm. And this frequency is resonating in the artificial mind of these carbon bodies. So they are forcing us to follow the yellow brick road, and that yellow brick road is the way of Os, and the Os is the sickle. In Spanish, Os is sickle, and that's why they are the Jews, because they are the joules, another electric measurement, living in Zion. Zion is an anagram in Oz, and Oz is the abbreviature of ounces, and the ounces are representing gold, oro. And this oro, this gold, is our plasma. And if you follow the yellow brick road, follow the path of the Wizard of Oz, that the Wizard of Oz is Saturn, Chronos, it's this, the hive mind. This is the hive. We are living like bees, producing babies in order to feed them, building this kind of houses, living in tunnels. Our entire system is based in antennas that is transmitting the information, the waves, the radio frequencies, like insects, like bugs, living in this system of hierarchies. In the top we have the queen or the king, the workers, politicians, bankers. The same thing. It's the same system, because we are like bees, producing energy, producing the honey, the plasma. So we're living in this golden grid, this golden net, the yellow brick road. And also Zion is an anagram of ion, electricity. That's why we have this word in other words like tension, television, expression, invasion, solution, celebration, because we are in Zion, producing the gold, the Oz, for them. So they are extracting our energy, our plasma, through alchemical processes where they are using elements is electricity, like like mercury, sulfur, and salt, in order to extract our honey. In Spanish, honey we say miel. Miel is my electricity, our energy. They are extracting our golden nectar, and that's why we can find this symbol around the planet, different logos and brands, and everything is following this pattern, the Metatron's cube, the carbon life. And as you can tell here, the parasite is inside of our spine, sucking us energy. That's why they're telling us, oh, rise the Kundalini. No, it's a parasite, in order to feed the larvatic body, the nervous system, the electricity. And this is our plasma, our honey, that they are extracting us from our spine. So our plasma is created by the ionization, and this process occurs through our spine. And our spine is the equalizer that is moderating the frequencies, is creating the plasma. And the plasma is very important because it's electrically neutral. The plasma is neutral. And another way that we can find this plasma is by our urine. Urine comes from the word oro, or that is our plasma. It's full of plasma, our urine. That's why we have to practice urine therapy, because we are integrating again our own information. Our own plasma is a serum that our body is giving us. Remember, urine is not a waste, it's an excess of water that we don't need to drink. We are drinking too much water, and especially dead water, because it doesn't have the original biomagnetical frequency. The only water that our body was designed to assimilate is our urine and the water from fruits. That it's not the regular water. It's plasmatic water with minerals, but this is part of our plasma, because our urine comes from the circulatory system, not from the lymphatic system. It's not a waste. That's why our kidneys are filtering our blood. So this is very important to realize this. So that's why they are extracting this plasma, and they want the adrenochrome. Adrenochrome comes from chrome color, and is a very high energetically serum that is obtained from the adrenal glands, especially from kids, after they have been terrified, because fear is going to produce stress, and stress is going to produce adrenaline. That's why we have this word. Adrenochrome is adrenaline in colors, in frequencies, to get a higher levels of adrenaline. And this substance has qualities similar like LSD, and is used in satanic rituals by the monarchy, politicians, celebrities. So adrenochrome is the most precious drug to these entities, and also for humans. So that's why we have this negative primacy in this movie that they called Monsters, or Monsters, but it's Monsters Inc. The message of this movie, they are telling us the truth, that the monsters are working for this corporation. Corporation comes from corpse, in order to scare people, to stress their body, and then produce more adrenaline. And then adrenaline is going to create this adrenochrome from our plasma. That's why they are keeping us in this low frequency, based everything in fear. When you watch news, when you are watching movies, so that's why we have to stop to see this kind of traps that they are sending us all the time. They are frightening us all the time, creating false wars and all the things that we already know. So this is the point of this comedy, that we are living in this purgatory. And this is the symbol of the adrenochrome. As you can tell, looks like a rabbit. That's why we have to follow the rabbit, the white rabbit, in Matrix, in Alice in Wonderland. And that's why the elite is using this archetype like a code to communicate each other. So they are expressing in codes the information of the adrenochrome that they want to extract from this planet. And then, as you can tell, all the ancient cultures around the planet are expressing the same. The ionization of the planet. They are turning these planets into this farm, harvesting energy, using electricity to transform this planet, turning it into something different. Using this magic net, the dream catch is expressing this magnetic field inside of this geometry from the Metatron's cube. It's very clear. So Anunnaki means a new Naki, a new body of water. That's the meaning of Anunnaki, because we are made of water. That's why water is the best conductor of energy, sound, electricity, magnetism. That's why this planet is water, it's not earth. But I told you earth is an anagram of heart and also from the ear of the Demiurge. So that's why they are breeding us to produce more slaves, more food, create new Nakis. When we are bringing new souls in these carbon copies bodies, when we are not aware of this, we are just creating more slaves. So if you want to have kids, you have to change the perspective of this, and we don't have to incorporate them into this sick system. We have to break all the concepts, all the ancient concepts of the system. We don't have to feed them in this insane system. Stop to feed them with junk food, with meat, and stop to take them to schools. So we have to start to live in another way, in the nature way, because otherwise we are just bringing more food, the new Naki, in order to replace the old gear in this machinery. We can tell here that everything is a turning fork, because we are resonators machines. Of course, bio machines. And they have been turned into these artificial coils. But also we can use for our benefit. The same thing is with the torus field. This loop, we can use it because it's a sustainable loop. To be here the time as we need to accomplish our self-transformation and escape from this prison. So not all is negative. We have to know the entire spectrum of the reality. We have to stop to feed the system, stop to feed our chakras, our nervous system, and alterate our chemistry in the way that we are living. And we have to break these layers of energy extraction vortices that we call chakras, because these chakras are creating this aura egg, this kind of barrier that is blocking the real frequencies from the source. It's an artificial shield, and as soon as we start to change the frequency and start to produce and increase the frequency of the beat of our hearts, at the moment that we change our feeding system, we're going to start to break these shields. Because remember, we are what we are eating. We have to stop to ingest heavy metals and junk food that they are hacking the system with parasites, fungus. So that's the main thing of this. Escape from our individual prison that is created from these chromosomes, from these chromos, these colors. That's why they can't read our emotions. You have to escape from the carbon life and then turn our body into a crystal again. That's the path of Christ, the Christos, Crystal, Krishna. They are referring to this, because otherwise we are going to turn totally to these humans batteries. That's why they call jacks, and that's why we can find a lot of names in Hollywood with Jack Sparrow, Jack O'Lantern, because Jack is a plug, and they are turning us in this connection with the extension, and now we are turning into these human batteries. That's why they call us Batman. And that's the real meaning of Batman. Bat is battery, man is mind. Because we are living in this artificial intelligence, because the entire system is controlled by this artificial intelligence that we call, in Spanish we call IOBAT. E is I, O is not a letter, it's referring a number. 10 batteries of binary code living in this cube, the black cube, the Metatron's cube, the carbon life, turning around this energy like insects following these frequencies of the magic net from the electromagnetic field. And now also we are turning to X-Men. X, I told you, the existence is the binary code 1-0, men, mentis, mentira, mind, lie, deception. In this apocalypse means revelation. And now is revealing this information. And now they are turning us into mutants because we are hacking our DNA with drugs, with heavy metals, parasites, fungus. We are mutating our DNA. So this is not science fiction. That's why we're living in the Xbox. The Xbox is the cube, following the one I told you is the Demiurge, and the X is existence of this false reality, living in motherboards, in this big computer, ruling by the Jehovah. That's another anagram. Jehovah. This artificial intelligence that is running the program in order to extract energy. Look at this. At the right side we have our modern cities, and you can compare it with these motherboards, microchips, and roads that they are transporting data, energy by the light. And everything is made of electricity now. We are ruled by the El, Javel, Michael, Gabriel, the archons of the electricity. We are electric creatures, and this is the larvatic body, is controlling everything. This is not natural in our original bodies. And also the digesting system is another implant in order to create necessity in our bodies to anchor us to the density. Now we can tell here that this realm is hacked by light. Everything is light. It's the ionization, the electrification of the planet in order to transport data, information, the Li-Fi. And that's how they are controlling us with the mind, impulses of light, and living in this livestock inside of the stock market. As you can tell, here is the same thing. With electricity, they can measure our energy, and it's the same thing in the stock market. And light means death. In Spanish we have this word that we call luto. It comes from Latin. Luto means to moan, moaning. When somebody is dead, it's your grief. You say, I'm luto, I'm mourning. So the light is illusion. We are not beings of light. And here, that's why the importance to practice earthing all the time. Because we are earthing, we are eliminating the electricity. We are discharging our body from these radio frequencies. They are altering our frequencies in our body. They are causing inflammation in our tissues and changing the ratio of our pulse heart, and also changing the pH in our inner waters. They are turning acidic. So that's very important to return to the nature and practice these amazing practices in order to break free again. So now we can see here the parasite sucking the energy from our spine, and that's why they are telling us, yeah, you have to rise your energy through the pineal gland, and that's bullshit, because you are feeding the nervous system, the larvatic body, electricity. You have to rise your energy and keep it in your heart. So that's why they have created this myth of Babel. This is not a myth. This practically is history. Bab means portal in Arab, and El electricity. So Babel means the portal of the light, of electricity. And that's when the Demiurge hijacked this planet and cut down all the giant silicon trees, and they start to put these artificial coils and the system of energy extraction with the astral realm, all the stars, the moon, the sun, and they replace the original tree of life that it was in the middle of the plane, and they put an artificial coil instead and start to change and terraforming all the planet. So now we are living in the cemetery of the original Earth. And also our bodies used to be made of silicon crystal. We were androgynous. We used to be giants, like everything in this planet, and connected to the real source. And after the hijack of this planet, they modify our avatars, and they want to turn our body into carbon life. And they implant the larvatic body, the nervous system. As you can tell here, the parasite is there in the brain. And they also implant the digestion system. This is a 11 meters snake, because you can tell it's a snake. And now we are a kind of human consciousness. We are inside of this modified body into a reptile way that is projecting a human hologram, where the light has absorbed us by the brain and the nervous system, especially the glands and the endocrine system, is how we are projecting the hologram. And as we can tell here, our body is a reflection of the reptile hologram. Everything has a reptile shape, snake shape, everything. This is very clear. And also we have this implant that we call the sphenoid bone inside of our skull, and also has a shape of a dragon or a serpent. And this bone also is projecting the hologram in conjunction of the pineal gland. And the pineal gland is where the holographic inserts had been placed. That's why we can find this gland in the Vatican, because they are worshipping the master gland that is controlling our reality. It's another implant, and this sphenoid bone is working together with this gland. That's why we have control of this dragon and control the larvatic body, returning to our hearts again. We have to stop to feed this system. There's more allegories in other cultures. Here in India, they're referring to the brain. Again, is where the control is. The neocortex is the implant also. Is the division to hemispheres, duality insert in our life. So they are explaining us in allegories this information. Now in Egypt we can find the same thing. They are telling us the control is in the nervous system, in the larvatic body. More allegories of the division of the control by the mind. Here is the stairway to heaven that I just told you, the pineal gland that is projecting the hologram. And also where we are dreaming, they are inserting us holograms inside of this mind. They are producing inceptions all the time. When we are sleeping, through this gland, they are inserting holograms, inceptions, ideas, especially when we are dreaming. And also in our regular life, we are receiving all the radio frequencies that we are involved of. We are receiving information from all sources now, artificial sources. That's why they are molding our personality. And I told you before, persona comes from Latin and Greek word that means mask. It's not you. So we are opening the antennas, ready to receive this information by light. So actually the new technology that is coming soon is going to be the Li-Fi. Now our modems are going to be useless because all the internet is going to be broadcast by Li-Fi, by a bulb with light. You just put your computer under the light of the bulb and you're going to receive the information. It's the same thing. We have been controlled by electrical impulses, by light. That's why the system, I'm preparing our body to turn it into this artificial antenna in order to receive the signal. That's why they had been introduced heavy metals, carbon, resistance, parasites, fungus, to turn our bodies now in carbon copies and organic portals in order to summon entities from other realm, demons. In the human avatars, they want to turn it into these organic portals. Look at this, the brain. We can find more archetypes from other cultures. In Sumerian, they have this demon, and we can find it in the brain. They are warning us about all of this. And this is the mind, the electric mind, that is causing all the troubles, creating emotions. Emotions means energy in motion, in movement. What kind of energy? Electrical, living by impulses, desires. And they want to turn us into these light beings, but that's the deception. So we are producing light through our extension, our nervous system, and by the chromosome X, the existence, by the tree of knowledge, that is the nervous system. And Babel is also the tower of El, the electricity, and the tower of El is inside of us also, is our spine. So in a chemical way they are controlling, changing our chemistry with poisons and toxins. So that's why the parasitation is very, very high now. So as you can tell here, our cells, and now they are becoming in another ways of life. In this chronologic alchemical process, if we expose more our body to an artificial environment of life, like oxygen, food, and radio frequencies especially. So this is happening if our environment is acidic, and then our cells are starting to act as bacteria, like parasites. So the mineral alchemy said that iron is a metal. When this metal is dissolved by acidic means, it turns into red. When this metal is submitted to these acids through the time, this iron is going to enter to a state of putrefaction and is going to get this color green, very similar that the medicine called biliverdin. And this only happens when the blood cells break, crack, or lose one small layer of their membrane. The medicine said that the plaquettes that they check under a microscope, they are always full of fungus. They can see under the dark spectrum field microscope. This kind of fungus comes from the biliverdin. That is a substance that is going to get out of the iron after turning to green. This fungus is similar that the same thing that we can see on the rocks of the ocean, that they have particles of iron. By the cause of oxygen, they oxide and start the new process. The same process is happening inside of us. Our liver encapsulates this toxic iron, turning it into a protein that can travel through the system, but diminishing its electric capacity and magnetic capacity among all the iron blood cells to the pass of the years, our pH is low, and then it's going to oxidate our cellular liquid, bringing a devastating chain of decayed physical waste that we call aging and illness. So the main cause that some wound, it starts to get in the putrefaction state, are these blood cells of iron infecting the wounds. Another proof is our brain, because this organ protects itself and we can never see blood, because if this happens, it's going to produce a stroke in the brain. This is the proof that iron is not a good conductor, and it doesn't have also the right solubility and the right pH, because it makes itself like a coagulated paste that smells like rotten meat, because these blood cells come with millions of larvae and small eggs that they are living in the majority in the flesh that the human beings are consuming. We are proving that we are turning ourselves into parasites when we are eating flesh, meat, corpses, junk food, poisons, and everything is based in this neutral environment that we have to start to live, keeping our pH, our potential hydrogen in balance, neither acidic nor alkaline, neutral, because the plasma is the base of generation of the self-sustainable energy that is going to distribute sound and resonance. Otherwise, we're going to keep turning ourselves into Lucifer. Lucifer comes from luz is looks light, and fer is the symbol of iron. Fe, Fe. So we are turning in these beings of light and iron. And iron is feeding this fungus, these parasites. So you can tell here the biliverdina on the rocks in the ocean is the same thing that iron is causing us inside of our blood. That's why the blood is red, because iron. And that's the reason that we are aging. We can see here the blood cells in the microscope, the parasites, fungus. So we are full of fungus, parasites. They are controlling our will, our life. Larvae and fungus are controlling this. So this is a huge plan that the Demiurge is performing through the history of the planet in order to create a new creature made of carbon with a very low conductivity of energy, conducting electricity, emotions, information in order to feed these entities. And this is happening because we are accepting this, because we are living in this crazy, insane, in this lifestyle of gluttony and drunkenness and fornication. We are contaminating our body with this fungus, and now our blood is turning into clots. We are coagulating our blood. We are making our blood thicker, and that's not the real plasma, because plasma is crystal. Our blood used to be like the seawater, full of minerals, full of crystals, and now we are turning into something thicker, and we are falling to the density. And look at this, we are full of this fungus. Now the planet is controlled by fungus and parasites. This is the candidiasis inside of the digestion system. More fungus controlling the human avatars. And I told you, we are living in the world of Satan. And Satan is an anagram of natas. Natas in Spanish mean toxins. mucus. Look at this. This is the mucus that they are blocking our energy inside of the colon. Our gut is very dirty. Fecal material also, parasites that are controlling our will, our behavior. There are not such as mental illness. That's bullshit. Everything comes from the physical intoxication of the body. And this is the things that are blocking our energy. Parasitic inner world that we are feeding. So basically we are what we are feeding. That's why we are saying we are what we are eating. But we have to go beyond that, because we are what we are feeding. And what we are feeding, fungus and parasites, that they are controlling this avatar in order to turn us into zombies, into walking deads, just following orders from inside and also outside. And this is the reason. So an investigation carried out by scientists from the Max Planck University in Germany proved that the quantity and the diversity of fungal spores is present in air is much higher than they estimated at the time. This study showed that in every cubic meter of air are floating between 1,000 and 10,000 spores of fungus. So with every inhaling that we are performing, we are breathing between 1 and 10 spores. So most of them, when they are entering in contact with our lungs, could provoke allergies and other illnesses. So we are living in the plague of fungus. Look at this. The fungus is eating the life. It's very clear. So in Greek, to say fungus or mushrooms, the word is mykitas. And also in the Greek mythology, so the top of the mountain in the Olympus, they call it mytikas. Practically the same word. Mykitas and mytikas, they are referring to fungus, because fungus are controlling our life. And now we're going to show you the proofs. These pictures around the planet, these representations around the planet of the fungus, the mushrooms, they are warning us the control of the fungus in this planet. The Mayans, look at this. Siberia. Around the planet we can find the same archetypes and allegories that they are talking about the fungus control representations around the planet. The parasitic life controlled by fungus. Smurfs living in mushrooms. And of course the Smurfs are representing the 7 sins that they are controlling our life. Gluttony, lust, greed, anger, etc. These emotions are produced and controlled by fungus, by parasites. More anagrams. Fun, fungus, funeral. That's funny. Fun. Inside of this vortex of energy, in this taurus, on the toroidal field, in this purgatory. And also you can tell here, the question mark is a sickle, is the os inside of the cube. In the existence, the hex is a curse. The box of Pandora, the death, the hexagon, in the carbon cube, because it's funny to live here. And they want to take us to this, the funeral, the fungus, because it's fundamental, the foundations of fungus. Another representation of the fungus in an explosion. And we can tell here that the realm of fungus is controlling the life in this planet. They are parasites. They are not a plant, not a mineral, an animal. It's something very strange and different. And we can tell here that they are controlling all the information on the ground. They are spreading their roots in order to control trees, plants, everything. This is a parasitation of the planet through fungus and parasites. This is a very important example and very clear how fungus perform their parasitic action. These fungus are turning these ants into zombies. So they are basically hijacking the avatar of these creatures, and they start to manipulate the body as they want. So they are driving or controlling the body of the ant as pleasure. They are taking the ants to the top of the plants, because once there, they start to get out of the body in order to spread more spores to reproduce themselves. They are controlling life in this planet, and this is very clear in this example. So basically, they are controlling not just ants or other creatures. Actually, they are controlling humans. I just showed you the proofs that we are living with these creatures inside of our body. And it's already proof that the intestine control the brain. It's the main brain, because intestine is full of these fungus and parasites that control the mind. They're sending impulses also, the commands. That's why the importance to clean our gut, to clean our body, to detoxify our body. We have to eliminate heavy metals, parasites, mucus, toxins, because they are the hackers of the system. Everything is related. That's how the fungus are sending the message to our mind. So our blood is full of that. The blood cells are turning into parasites. They are charged with iron, with the oxygen, the artificial poison that we are breathing. Because you have to know that the biggest element of air is nitrogen, is not oxygen. Oxygen is the genoma of death. It's an element that is burning everything. That's why we are aging, because our blood is turning into something thicker and with a very low conductivity of real energy. So we are turning our plasma into carbon, because we are controlled by fungus, living in this big comedy that we call life. So the solution is very clear. Change your life, change your diet, turn your lifestyle into something more natural. Practice fasting. We have to sweat also a lot in saunas, in Temazcali, sweat lodge. Practice earthing. Go and swim into the ocean, lakes, rivers, because we have to boost our immune system and turn our blood into plasma again. And don't give your energy to these vampires. Don't become into food for these entities. We have to start to be aware. And this is the process. Healing leads to coherence. We have to return to our original essence, of crystal beings. They want to turn us into these carbon copies, avatars, with parasites. They want to turn us into these organic portals, with these fungus and larvae controlling the avatar, until they extract our complete energy, and then death is going to be inevitable. And otherwise, we can use this torus field, this loop, to our benefit, to be here as much as we need, to heal ourselves in order to becoming this crystal being again, evolve, change the frequency, and escape from this divine comedy, and now participate in our own projection. We have to create our own play to be protagonist and escape from this Truman Show. We have to start to be the true man, the real humans, not participated in this fake reality, in this hologram. So the main message is learn to be here without be part of this. Learn how to be in this matrix, but without be part of matrix, and start to co-create our own projection of our own reality, living in coherence state, living in resonance with the right frequency from our heart, not from the mind. So the main thing that we have to start to do and practice is to recover your health. You have to clean your avatar and respect it. Eliminate those parasites and fungus, heavy metals, those hackers. And then we're going to start to hack this matrix and recover our sovereignty and freedom again, in order to ascend and escape from this video game once and for all. So thank you very much. La Sokamati, Ometeo.